I'm here today with Sarah Welch, Director of the JFCS Career Development Center. How are you doing today, Sarah?
Doing well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fine. So glad to hear it. So, Sarah, today we're talking about advocacy. But before we start talking about the advocacy that you've been doing professionally, it seems like advocacy is a passion for your entire family. I know you have two young kids. How do they advocate for themselves?
Well, I do. I have twin 8-year-old boys. They're going to be 8 this month. And anybody who knows them knows that they have a lot of energy and a lot of personality. Literally, one of them wore pajamas, matching pajama sets for 3.5 years. And he really advocated for himself to be able to wear matching pajama sets all day, every day for 3.5 years. So, I think that they have a lot of passion for what they believe is important in their lives right now. The thing, that with kids is, as every parent's trying to do, is make sure that kids advocate for themselves without getting in the way of somebody else or complaining too much. And I think that, that is kind of mirrors what we're trying to do with our advocacy efforts here at JFCS, is really to provide information and educate people on the problems that we see, and hopefully then they have the tools to go and make the changes in legislation or in a system that allows for that problem to be fixed.
So nonprofits like JFCS, we typically focus on delivering services, not so much on advocacy work. Why do you believe that it's important for organizations like ours to be engaged in advocacy work?
Yeah, I think it's virtually impossible for us to not be engaged in advocacy work with the clients that we see. I think it would be impossible for us to serve our clients holistically and not advocate for their needs. We see their struggles up close, and it's really our job to elevate their voice and to help them have a voice in the system that can be changed to make their lives better.
Now, I know recently you did some advocacy work on issues related to employment. Can you talk a little bit about the experience you had with advocacy this year? What were you specifically advocating for, and how did this all come about?
Yeah, so this is a fun trip. So typically it's a trip. We go to DC, however, it was virtual this year. But for the last several years, we've worked closely with Literacy Pittsburgh and Partner4Work, which is our local workforce investment board, under the guidance of the National Skills Coalition. And basically is what we do is we go and talk to our representatives about the needs, the workforce needs in southwestern Pennsylvania. And we basically talk to them about the work of our agencies and how different legislation is affecting our clients and how we can help support them to better understand the problem so that they can then go to the floor and vote on legislation. It's important to remember that government represents the people. So our legislators are representing us. And if they don't hear from the people in their communities, then they don't know what the needs are. So it's really important for us to use our voice to talk about what we're seeing. This time we met with the offices of Reschenthaler, Lamb, Doyle, and Thompson. And Thompson showed up to the meetings and was ready to talk with us and engage with us. And it is not uncommon. Last year we met with Representative Lamb and Doyle. So it is not uncommon for the representatives themselves to show up to these meetings to hear what's going on in their districts.
That's really important. Advocacy, I think, sometimes gets a bad rep because it's hard to remember that advocacy really takes time. You don't see quick turnaround and quick results. What are some of the changes, though, that you've seen over time as a result of advocacy work?
Advocacy doesn't necessarily lead directly to change in legislation or directly to changes in systems. There are steps along the way. And those steps, those small steps, are milestones to larger legislation. An example would be, after COVID hit, we had a lot of people in our county and across our country that were really struggling. Unemployment jobs went away. People were furloughed or laid off. And everyone, or a lot of people, had access to unemployment compensation. However, there's a section of our population that English is not their first language. And so completing the paperwork to get that unemployment compensation was very, very challenging for them, if not impossible. And so we worked closely with the city of Pittsburgh, the mayor's office, and Representative Jake Wheatley to come up with an idea to help us reach more individuals who were needing this kind of support. So, that's a small stepping stone that recognized a problem, and we moved to help mitigate that.
Sarah, you are obviously very passionate about advocacy work. So how did you get involved in advocacy work, and what would you say to other people who are interested in advocating for the things that they're passionate about?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to acknowledge that JFCS has been doing advocacy for a long time and has been doing it really well. However, after speaking with leadership, we really recognized that we wanted to have a more focused plan of action for our advocacy for our agency. And so that's kind of where I kind of came in, is just kind of helping to coordinate some of the efforts that are already in place. For people who are interested in getting into advocacy, there are a ton of organizations here in Pittsburgh and across the country that are doing really important work. And I think volunteering with those organizations, being a mentor to somebody, just paying attention to what's actually going on in the world and really trying to filter through and figure out what is accurate and what is important is a really important way to do it. For people that don't have the time to go out or are unable to go out and actually work with individuals, just financially supporting organizations that are doing the work that you believe in is very important, because that keeps the momentum and keeps them moving forward. And that's kind of the beauty of advocacy, is it's taking a lot of small pieces and bringing them together to create big action that can lead to systems change. So I think that that's our goal.
Great. Well, thanks, Sarah, for joining me today.
Thank you.